Why do they keep disregarding my feelings? The frustration from yesterday still simmered inside me. So when I spoke to them, my words came out sharper than I'd meant. Their response? They just kept rearranging things in the room. "This is going to be a great new space for Emily," they said, brushing off everything I had said the day before and moving my things out without asking. "Did you forget what I said yesterday? Stop this right now." "Abigail, know your place," Oliver snapped, his voice dripping with contempt. "I'm the one paying the rent here. What authority do you have to question my decisions?" Emily stood beside him, a satisfied grin on her face. "I'm the one handling the bills. You haven't contributed a penny, so you don't get a say. If you can't support my choices, maybe we should rethink this whole arrangement. My name is Abigail, and at 28, I'm always running from one deadline to the next in my corporate job. I've been married to Oliver for 4 years. He's seen as a rising star in his field, always pushing himself to meet ambitious goals. We live in a lovely, spacious home, one we picked out while dreaming about a future with children. Despite the ups and downs of our relationship, I thought we were doing okay. I thought we had it together. But one evening, after a long day at work, I came home later than usual and noticed a coat hanging at the door, a coat I didn't recognize. When I walked into the living room, I saw Emily sitting there. "Aw, Abigail, it's been a while. You were late, so we started without you," she said. Emily, 24, Oliver's younger sister, has always been a point of tension between us. While she's accomplished both academically and professionally, she seems to take pleasure in making me feel small, slipping in jabs whenever she can. Despite my attempts to let it slide, her boldness only grew. Eventually, I decided the best option was to distance myself from her. But that wasn't the only issue. Oliver's behavior was becoming harder to ignore, too. When it's just the two of us, he's caring and gentle, but when Emily's around, he becomes dismissive and harsh. I'm not sure if he's trying to impress her, but the way he treats me, even after I've voiced my concerns, is painful. And now, Emily was making snide remarks about my long work hours. "You're staying late again, Abigail? I finish everything on time. What's the problem? Are you just slow, or is it that you can't keep up?" Emily's words stung even more because of her tipsy state. Dealing with Emily's comments was hard enough on a normal day, but when Oliver joined in, after a few drinks, the situation escalated. "Let's be fair, Emily. Not everyone has your efficiency. Some of us have to work extra hard to get done what comes naturally to others. It's not fair to judge everyone by your standards," I said, trying to keep my cool. "You're right. Sorry, Abigail. I guess I was too harsh," Emily replied, though her tone was less than sincere. "No need to apologize, Emily. You're incredible, and that's just the truth." But the Oliver standing beside me now felt like a stranger. He was joining in with Emily, making me the target of their cruelty. I felt the urge to lash out, but I chose to bite my tongue, forcing a smile in the name of peace. Emily left just before midnight, and I was left to clean up the mess they'd made, even though I hadn't been part of it. Still, it was our house, so I felt obligated to do it. Oliver, as usual, seemed unconcerned. "It's late. I'm going to bed. Abigail, you clean this up." I couldn't take it anymore. "Why am I the one cleaning this up? The mess was yours and Emily's. Why do you think I'm expected to do everything? Doesn't it seem odd to you that you just assume I'll handle it?" Oliver seemed taken aback by my assertiveness but quickly doubled down, insisting that I clean up. "I bring in more money, you know. Don't talk back when you earn less. If you can't accept that, maybe we should reconsider everything." Why is money even a part of this conversation? It's completely irrelevant. You should be cleaning up after yourself. And threatening divorce over something this petty? That's extreme, even for you. Just shut up and clean. It's your responsibility, he said firmly, making his position clear before heading to the bedroom. Despite feeling unfairly burdened, I ended up cleaning up by myself. The next morning, Oliver's mood was still sour. I knew trying to discuss it would only make things worse, so I kept my distance. Though I wanted to make things right with him, we both left the house without acknowledging the tension between us. That evening, as I returned home, carrying the weight of both work and personal frustration, I realized that something had to change. The growing distance between Oliver and me couldn't continue. I was ready to offer an olive branch, prepared to apologize if it meant easing the tension and finding some kind of resolution. With that determination in mind, I opened the door, only to be greeted by the sight of the same coat from the night before. The voices coming from the living room made it clear history was repeating itself. Not again, I muttered to myself. Dread settling in, I entered the room and found Emily, once again, sitting beside Oliver, both of them enjoying drinks and making a mess. "Thanks for always working late, Abigail," Emily said with a mocking tone. "We started without you since you're never around." My desire to fix things with Oliver felt almost impossible now. Emily's presence was like an impenetrable wall between us, as if she were deliberately sabotaging any chance of reconciliation. But it seemed like neither of them noticed my frustration. Oliver joined in, offering a sarcastic jab of his own. "We had to start without you. Since you're always late, can't you manage to come home a little earlier?" The blame they were placing on me felt unfair, based on expectations we had never even discussed. I was determined to resolve things with Oliver, but with each passing moment, my resolve began to crack. Why am I even bothering with them? The question echoed in my mind, signaling a shift in how I saw the situation. Oliver's bombshell left me reeling, pushing me to the edge. "Wait a minute, what are you talking about? This is the first I'm hearing about Emily moving in. Can you explain?" Oliver seemed taken aback by my outburst but quickly regained his composure, slipping back into his dismissive attitude, fueled by Emily's presence. "Yes, it's news to you because I'm only just bringing it up. And yes, Emily will be staying with us." "What about her husband? Are they moving in together?" At the mention of her husband, Oliver casually dropped. "Oh, you mean her ex-husband?" "Ex-husband?" I was stunned. This was news to me. Slowly, the pieces started to fall into place, though they didn't make any sense. Emily had recently ended her marriage, and now, with her lease ending and her ex out of the picture, Oliver saw this as the perfect opportunity to make a change. "Why wouldn't you discuss something this important with me first?" My trust in Oliver evaporated as he made such a huge decision without consulting me, casually mentioning it while under the influence. Emily stood by, smugly observing the whole exchange. "Just go with it, Abigail. It's a done deal." "No, I can't accept this." "What do you mean, Abigail?" Oliver's shock was evident, but my refusal to go along with their plan only fueled my resolve. "You're the one crossing the line, Oliver," I said firmly, locking eyes with both of them. "Whatever you two are planning, I want no part of it. You need to sober up and think this through." Instead of addressing my concerns, I retreated to another room, isolating myself as I had the day before, the weight of the situation pressing heavily on my chest. The next morning, I was jolted awake by the sound of commotion. I opened my bedroom door to find Oliver and Emily casually handling my belongings, moving them from one room to another. "What are you two doing?" My frustration from the previous day intensified my words. "We're clearing out your things. This room is perfect for Emily." "Makes sense, doesn't it?" They acted as if my objections didn't matter, continuing to move my things without a word of permission. "Did you forget our conversation from yesterday?" "Enough of this," I snapped. Oliver, irritated, shot back. And Abigail, just where do you think you stand in this? I'm the one paying the rent here. What gives you the right to challenge my decisions? His voice dripped with contempt, while Emily stood there with a smug grin, as if relishing the power they had over me. I'm the one paying the bills, so your opinion, without contributing financially, means nothing, I replied, my voice steady but resolute. If you're not willing to respect my boundaries, maybe we should reconsider this whole marriage. The word divorce landed like a punch to the gut. Divorce? The thought struck me like lightning, and I was left dumbstruck. I couldn't even process what Oliver was saying. Emily, seeing my stunned silence, eagerly added to the fire. Do you even understand your situation, Abigail? You haven't contributed financially, so your opinion doesn't matter. Why keep this up? You're embarrassing yourself. In that moment, any remaining affection I had for these two evaporated. They were no longer family in my eyes. I was done with them, and there was no turning back. Let's move this conversation to the living room, I suggested, hoping changing the setting would shift the mood. They grumbled in response but eventually followed. As I made coffee, I handed them their drinks, then turned to face Oliver. I've been clear since yesterday. I never agreed to Emily moving in. I want her things packed up, and I want it done now. What are you even saying? Oliver shot back. I've said it 100 times. I pay the rent, so my word is the law here. If you can't accept that, then maybe divorce is the only option. Are you okay with that? You keep bringing up the rent, saying this is your house. But Oliver, do you really believe that? I asked, my voice steady despite the growing tension. Obviously, he snapped. What kind of question is that? This house belongs to me, I said firmly. Are you really making things up because you're upset? Oliver looked at me, incredulous. No, you're wrong. This house is mine too. You can't just claim it. No, I corrected him, standing my ground. This house was left to me by my father. After he passed, it became my property. I am, in fact, the owner. Does that clarify things for you? I asked, my voice sharp with finality. Oliver's skepticism lingered. You're lying. If this house was built by your dad, shouldn't it be falling apart by now? Ever heard of renovations? I shot back, frustration creeping in. Oliver, my dad had this house completely renovated before his hospitalization. It looks new because of that. I never mentioned it before because it happened before we were married. The confident, dismissive attitude they had both carried vanished in an instant, leaving a heavy silence between us. But I wasn't finished. I'd already said so much, and now I felt compelled to put everything on the table, whether they understood or not. My patience had run dry. Even if you think you're paying rent, Oliver, you're not. What you've been covering are our shared living costs, not rent for this house. At this point, why would I lie about this? You've never even bothered with the housing paperwork, so you've been completely oblivious. Do you even know what the going rate for rent is around here? You're just making a fool of yourself, and from now on, I'll be the one handling the rent payments. His confusion was palpable. Are you in a position to afford that, Mr. Unemployed? Unemployed? I echoed, brow furrowing. What are you talking about? Oliver's voice rose with a hint of agitation. What are you implying? Seems you've made a series of bad decisions lately, losing a lot more than you let on, I said, my tone even. You might have thought you were being discreet, but your company knows. Expect to hear from them after the weekend. They probably thought it was a secret, but it's not. The change in Oliver's expression was immediate. He recoiled slightly, a flicker of panic flashing across his face. How do you know this? Why would you know? I've kept it quiet, but your employer is connected to my family's business network. They've been lenient so far, but it seems you've crossed a line. The decision to let you go has already been made, and they informed me first. They wanted me to be prepared for the impact on our household. Oliver sat in stunned silence, his face draining of color. Emily, having overheard the conversation, was clearly unsettled as well. Wait, are you saying Oliver's going to be let go, and this house is actually yours? Emily stammered. Then what about me? Where will I stay next month? She hesitated, almost as an afterthought, adding, I've already terminated my lease. Her questions were directed at both of us, but it was clear she was grasping for some semblance of control over a situation that had unraveled entirely. I stood tall, my voice steady. This house belongs to me, and for now, I'm the one who decides who stays and who goes. I've had enough, Oliver. I'm taking you up on your offer for a divorce. There's no going back. And just so we're clear, Emily, I have no intention of cohabiting with you. Your living arrangements are your problem, not mine. I'd prefer it if you both excluded me from your plans moving forward. Whether they fully absorbed my words or not, I had made my stance clear. The decision was in their hands now, and I was washing my hands of it all. Please return my belongings to their original places. After that, I want you both to gather your things and leave. I can't bear the thought of seeing either of you again. By the end of the day, I had succeeded in removing them from my house. The last time I saw them was just before I handed everything over to my lawyers, ensuring the separation would proceed without confrontation. Oliver didn't put up much of a fight, perhaps realizing he had no real ground to stand on. This quiet acceptance made the divorce process smoother than I had anticipated. I later found out that both Oliver and Emily had moved back in with their parents. The fallout for Oliver was heavy. He was saddled with a substantial financial burden from our settlement, and his professional missteps had brought even more consequences. He's now working relentlessly to pay off his debts, trying to rebuild his life from the ground up. As for me, I'm embracing a peaceful existence in the home my father left me. The solitude I once dreaded has become a sanctuary. I'm savoring this new chapter, relishing the freedom and calm that now fill the space. For the first time in a long while, I'm focused on myself, looking forward to a future without the weight of conflict, and making the most of this newfound peace.